A fiery streak split the night sky, illuminating the dense forest as if daylight had briefly returned. Alex, a reclusive Earthling, looked up from his cabin's porch, his curiosity piqued. Alex's heart pounded as he ventured into the forest, guided by the glow of smoldering debris. The crash site was a scene of chaos: twisted metal, scorched earth, and the acrid smell of burning fuel. Amid the wreckage, a faint cry caught his attention. He pushed aside a crumpled panel, revealing a small pod, its transparent cover cracked but intact. Inside lay an infant, her skin a pale shade of blue, eyes wide and luminescent. Alex's breath caught in his throat. "What are you?" he whispered, gently lifting her from the pod. The child's cry softened, her tiny hand reaching out to grasp his finger. With the baby cradled against his chest, Alex hurried back to his cabin. The implications of his discovery swirled in his mind, but there was no time to dwell on them. He had to ensure her safety first. Inside his modest home, he fashioned a makeshift crib from an old laundry basket, lining it with soft blankets. As he tended to her, he couldn't help but notice the strange phenomena occurring around her. Objects subtly shifted positions, lights flickered, and a sense of warmth filled the room whenever she smiled. Alex knew she was no ordinary child. Days passed, and Alex began to sense a presence watching them. His suspicions were confirmed one evening when he spotted shadows moving among the trees. His heart raced, but he kept his composure. He had to protect her. He fortified his home, setting traps and hiding places, his mind racing with plans to outwit any who might come for her. One night, as he rocked her to sleep, he spoke softly. "I don't know where you came from, but I promise I'll keep you safe." Her eyes met his, and he felt a connection, a bond that transcended the vast differences between them. The next morning, the tranquility of the forest was shattered by the sound of approaching footsteps. Alex's pulse quickened. He peered through the window, seeing figures clad in strange armor, their weapons glinting menacingly in the dawn light. Bounty hunters. With a swift, silent motion, Alex grabbed Lyra and hid her in a concealed compartment beneath the floorboards. He armed himself with a makeshift weapon, determined to protect her at all costs. As the hunters drew closer, Alex's mind raced. He had to outsmart them, buy time for Lyra. The door burst open, and Alex faced the intruders, his grip tightening on his weapon. "What do you want?" he demanded, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. "We're here for the child," one of them snarled, his eyes scanning the room. "Hand her over, and no one gets hurt." Alex's jaw set in defiance. "You're not taking her." A tense silence followed, broken only by the hum of their weapons. The air crackled with energy, and Alex braced himself for the inevitable clash. His mind was resolute. He would protect Lyra, no matter the cost. A sudden, eerie silence enveloped the forest, broken only by the rustling of leaves as shadows moved stealthily among the trees. Alex's heart pounded as he stood at the window, watching the figures advance. The bounty hunters moved with the precision of predators, their armor gleaming ominously in the dawn light. Each step they took seemed to amplify the tension in the air. He knew they were closing in on Lyra. The door creaked open, and Alex felt a surge of adrenaline. He gripped his makeshift weapon tightly, ready to defend the child hidden beneath the floorboards. "Stay calm, Alex," he whispered to himself, his voice barely audible. One of the bounty hunters, a tall figure with piercing eyes, stepped forward. "We know she's here," he declared, his voice a low growl. "Hand her over, and you might live." Alex's mind raced. He needed to buy time. "I don't know what you're talking about," he replied, forcing a tone of defiance into his voice. "There's no one here but me." The bounty hunter's eyes narrowed. "Do you think we're fools? We have ways of finding what we seek." He raised a device, and it began to emit a soft hum, scanning the room with a glowing beam. Alex had to act fast. He subtly shifted his weight, preparing for a confrontation. "You've made a mistake coming here," he said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. Suddenly, a noise came from the hidden compartment beneath the floorboards. Alex's heart sank. The bounty hunter's eyes lit up with triumph. "There!" he shouted, pointing his weapon at the floor. In a swift motion, Alex lunged forward, striking the bounty hunter's weapon out of his hand. The room erupted into chaos. Alex fought with every ounce of strength he had, his mind focused solely on protecting Lyra. Blows were exchanged, and furniture toppled as the struggle intensified. Amidst the melee, Lyra's cries grew louder, echoing through the small cabin. The sound seemed to invigorate Alex, giving him a renewed burst of energy. He managed to knock one of the bounty hunters unconscious, but more were pouring in through the door. Desperation clawed at him. He couldn't hold them off much longer. Suddenly, the room was bathed in a soft, golden light. Alex turned to see Lyra, her eyes glowing with an intense luminescence. The bounty hunters froze, mesmerized by the sight. With a wave of her tiny hand, Lyra emitted a pulse of energy that sent the bounty hunters sprawling. Alex stared in awe as the child's power manifested, her abilities far beyond anything he could have imagined. The remaining bounty hunters scrambled to their feet, panic replacing their confidence. "We need to retreat!" one of them shouted, and they began to retreat, dragging their fallen comrades with them. As the last of the intruders fled, Alex collapsed to his knees, exhaustion and relief washing over him. Lyra's glow faded, and she looked at him with wide, trusting eyes. "It's okay," he whispered, reaching out to her. "You're safe now." But Alex knew this was only the beginning. The bounty hunters would return, and they would bring reinforcements. He had to find a way to protect Lyra, to uncover the truth about her origins and the significance of her powers. The stakes were higher than ever, and Alex was determined to rise to the challenge. As the sun rose over the forest, Alex cradled Lyra in his arms, a steely resolve taking root within him. He would protect this child, no matter the cost. The fight was far from over, and he was ready for whatever lay ahead. As the morning sun filtered through the trees, casting long shadows across the cabin, Lyra's eyes glowed once more, illuminating the space with an ethereal light. The peaceful morning was shattered as Alex scrambled to his feet, drawn to the glow radiating from Lyra. The golden light enveloped her like a protective cocoon, illuminating the room in a soft haze. He knelt beside her, awe mingling with concern. "What's happening, Lyra?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. As if in response, Lyra's eyes locked onto his, and a wave of warmth washed over him. In that moment, he felt a connection deeper than he could comprehend, a bond forged in the fires of danger and survival. Suddenly, the light intensified, and images flooded Alex's mind, a vast, alien landscape, towering spires of crystalline structures, and a majestic throne room where a regal figure, reminiscent of Lyra, sat in judgment. The visions felt real, more like memories than mere images. He staggered back, bewildered. "You're a princess?" Lyra's gaze shifted, the glow in her eyes dimming as if she understood the weight of his revelation. Alex took a deep breath, processing the magnitude of what this meant. "We have to find out what this means for you. For us." The sounds of nature surrounding them seemed to fade into silence, his heart racing with a new sense of urgency. The hunters would not be far behind, and now that they knew of Lyra's true identity, the danger was even more pronounced. "I need to find out how to protect you," Alex murmured, glancing around the cabin for any sign of danger. The remnants of last night's chaos lay scattered across the floor, a stark reminder of how close they had come to disaster. Suddenly, a knock at the door jolted him from his thoughts. His heart leaped into his throat. "Who is it?" he called, trying to keep his voice steady. "Alex, it's me, Maya," came a voice from the other side. Alex recognized her as a neighbor, a local historian with a keen interest in the strange occurrences around the forest. He hesitated, glancing at Lyra, whose eyes flickered with unease. "Just a moment!" Alex shouted, quickly clearing away debris and tidying up the space. He opened the door cautiously, revealing Maya's concerned face. "Alex, I heard the commotion last night," she said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "What's going on? Is everything okay?" Alex began but faltered, unsure of how much to reveal. He could sense the urgency in Maya's demeanor, the need for answers. Is that a baby? Maya's eyes widened as they landed on Lyra. The girl cooed, the glow in her eyes dimming as she watched the newcomer. Not just any baby, Alex replied, his voice low but firm. This is Lyra. She's different. Different how? Maya leaned closer, curiosity mingling with concern. She's from another world, Alex confessed, the weight of the truth pressing on him. And she's in danger. Maya's expression shifted to one of determination. Then we need to protect her. You can't do this alone. Just as Alex was about to respond, a loud crash echoed from outside, causing them both to flinch. Alex rushed to the window, peering out to see a group of figures advancing through the trees, bounty hunters, armed and more aggressive than before. Maya, they're back! He shouted, panic coursing through him. We have to hide her! Maya's gaze darted to Lyra, who looked up at them with innocent eyes, unaware of the chaos looming outside. Where can she go? Under the floorboards! Alex shouted. He gently lifted Lyra, who clutched at his shirt, her gaze wide with confusion. As Maya helped him, Alex felt the weight of the world resting on his shoulders. They had to outsmart the hunters, but how? Time was running out, and the impending threat hung heavy in the air. Lyra! Alex whispered as he hid her away. Stay safe. We'll get through this together. The doors shattered inward, splintering wood flying in every direction, as the bounty hunters stormed into the cabin, weapons drawn and eyes burning with determination. The room erupted in chaos as the bounty hunters flooded through the doorway, their faces masked with grim determination. Alex felt his heart race as he grabbed Maya's arm, urgency igniting his instincts. Get Lyra! He shouted, already moving toward the closest hunter. Maya nodded and dashed toward the hidden compartment, her fingers trembling as she pried it open. Come on, sweetheart, she whispered to Lyra, her voice a soothing balm amidst the turmoil. The baby's eyes were wide, reflecting the confusion of the moment. With adrenaline coursing through his veins, Alex lunged at the nearest bounty hunter, tackling him to the ground. They wrestled, the hunter's weapon clattering away, but another foe was already moving in on Alex's position. Hold him! The lead hunter commanded, and the others surged forward. The cabin was small, and the confined space turned the conflict into a chaotic dance of limbs and desperate cries. Lyra! Alex shouted over his shoulder, fear creeping into his voice as he fought to keep the hunters at bay. Stay hidden! Maya shielded Lyra with her body, trembling but resolute. I won't let them take her, Alex! She called back, her voice fierce despite the odds. The lead hunter raised a weapon, aiming straight for Alex. Time seemed to slow as Alex locked eyes with Maya, an unspoken understanding passing between them. They couldn't allow fear to dictate their actions. In that moment of clarity, Lyra's eyes glowed with the familiar golden light. It radiated warmth and energy, illuminating the room as if a second sun had risen within the cabin. The bounty hunters hesitated, their focus shifting toward the child, confusion flickering across their faces. What the? One of them stammered, just as a wave of energy surged from Lyra, knocking the hunters off their feet. The force sent them crashing against the walls, furniture splintering under the impact. Alex stared in awe, feeling the weight of Lyra's power wash over him. Lyra! He gasped, pride swelling within him. She was more than just a child, she was a force to be reckoned with. Get them! The lead hunter roared, scrambling to his feet, but now his confidence was shaken. The tables had turned, and Alex seized the moment. Let's show them what we can do! He shouted to Maya, who nodded, determination igniting in her eyes. With renewed vigor, Alex charged forward, joining Maya in defending Lyra. Together, they moved as a cohesive unit, blocking strikes and countering with their own attacks. The cabin erupted with the sounds of struggle, the shouts of the hunters mixed with the pounding of feet against the wooden floor. Lyra's glow intensified, pulsating with energy as if she were channeling the very essence of the universe. With each wave of her tiny hands, she sent bursts of light that disoriented the hunters, rendering their weapons useless. They stumbled, their resolve wavering under the onslaught of her power. "Keep it up, Lyra!" Alex urged, dodging a swing from one of the hunters. "We're almost there." Just as it seemed the tide would turn completely, the lead hunter regained his composure and lunged at Lyra, a desperate attempt to seize the prize. Alex's instincts kicked in. He hurled himself in front of the child, taking the full force of the hunter's assault. "Alex!" Maya screamed, but he was already rising, fueled by an indomitable spirit. In a final act of defiance, Alex grappled with the lead hunter, their bodies colliding in a whirlwind of fury. With a powerful shove, he pushed the hunter away, sending him crashing against the wall. "Run, Maya!" he shouted, urgency etched into his voice. Maya grabbed Lyra, cradling her close. "We're not leaving you!" she protested, but Alex shook his head. "I'll hold them off. Just get to safety." His voice was firm, filled with determination. With a final surge of energy, Lyra unleashed another pulse of light, enveloping Alex and Maya in a protective barrier. The hunters recoiled, their expressions a mix of fear and awe as they began to retreat, scrambling for the door. "Let's go!" Maya yelled, racing toward the back exit, with Lyra safe in her arms. As the hunters fled, Alex felt a surge of pride for his makeshift family. They had faced the darkness together and emerged victorious, for now. But he knew this battle was far from over. As they dashed into the forest, Alex felt the weight of responsibility settle upon him, intertwined with a fierce determination to protect Lyra at all costs. The path ahead was uncertain, but together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead.